Hello ladies and gentlemen, Judgment Phoenix, and welcome to another video! An Age of Empires free online match on the Asian Dynasties expansion pack. And today we have India versus the Sioux. I'm playing India and the other player, Bayer94 is playing the Sioux. Now this is my first online match, but I really wanted to start to do some online matches because I absolutely love playing online on Age of Empires, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to do some videos for Age of Empires online, and I'm probably going to make this a regular thing because I really do enjoy doing these matches, and it'll be fun to commentate on them and all the different techniques and such I use. And I feel it's going to be a sort of road to the expert level because I'm not going to go and say I'm an expert at Age of Empires 3. I'm not. It's a really fun strategy game. It's something I want to get better at. So it's sort of you guys joining me in my quest to become better at the game and getting up to that top-notch level, if I do indeed make it. Now, I'm a private currently. This is a Supremacy match, and in Supremacy, basically, you gather up your resources and you attack the enemy whenever you want to. There's also a mode called Treaty Match, where nobody can attack each other for 10, 20, 30, or 40 minutes. And there's also Treaty... no monopoly mode, I believe it is, where I can't remember. I can't explain that one. Yes. So this is a Supremacy match. So basically, once me and my opponent age up to age 2, we'll be able to attack each other with military units. And it's something I've never enjoyed this game mode. When I first played this game, I didn't enjoy this game mode. I much preferred to play no rush, which basically means that you take your time, you age up. You say 30 or 40 minutes. You used to have to say no rush 40 minutes, but now obviously you can put it into the game. And instantly this guy takes my treasure. Wasn't impressed. I wanted that 90 food to age up quicker, but sadly he managed to nab it. He managed to nab it from me, which I wasn't impressed with. I swear I got it. Bit of a cheeky move there. Usually I don't lose treasures to my opponents or even my allies, but that time I did. If it's a teammate, I'm not too upset about it because he's my teammate, so as long as it benefits them, that's the most important thing. But sometimes it can still irritate me. Now, treasures basically scatter out the map, and they're usually different things from wood to food. Sometimes they increase your explorer's hit points, like Jimmy Page there, or my other explorer is called Robert Plant. I'm sure anyone who is into rock will get that reference right there. And also, I decided to call my city Woodstock. My Indian city is called Woodstock. So I'm just choosing a card here, and I went for the wood card first, which basically increases the gather rate for wood with my villagers here. And if you notice, I got most of my villagers on wood and only a few on food. And the reason for that is that with India, you have to use wood to create settlers. And I'm not quite sure why it's a bit laggy here. I do apologise for that. It could just be the actual connectivity of the internet. I don't believe that's the recording itself. I believe that's just the internet issue there. But with India, you build villagers by paying wood for them instead of using food. And so most of my villagers are on wood, and it's very handy because obviously wood is used to build buildings as well and such and such. Now, my plan for this map is I can see the sea down there. If you've noticed, you can see the sea on the map there, just see a little bit of the coastline. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go and start fishing soon enough, as soon as I get enough wood. And the reason for that is fishing is a very good eco boost. It's especially for me, being India, I'm collecting wood constantly. Fishing boats cost wood and wood only. Same for the dock, so it's much easier for me to go and do that, and very helpful for my economy. Now, I don't know why, but he basically killed the treasure guardians here and then left the treasure, which gave me a free settler, and I'm not quite sure if that was for stealing my treasure earlier or he completely forgot, but I was like, I'm not going to let this treasure go to waste, and I nabbed it as quick as possible. Now, if you notice, I only put 4 villagers on food, and they've been on food since the beginning of the game. And the reason for that is I'm not using food, so I don't need a lot of villagers on food for myself. And now I have 800 I can age up, which I'm going to do. And I decided he might rush me, so I need to get my forward base out. And the way India levels up is they build wonders, which are these buildings that help you. And I went for the Agra Fort. And I went for the Agra Fort for one reason only. It's the only military building out of all of my wonders in terms of building units. Well, actually, no, there is another military building that does build units, but this one it is a fort, so it also shoots the enemy when they get close to them, so it's very handy as a forward base, a brilliant forward base. And if you notice there, he sent his black bears in to attack my villager. I was a bit ignorant. I wasted time putting the villager away. I didn't need to do that. I could have just brought my explorers in, because those black bears are only good against guardians. They don't do a lot of damage to villagers. I think he saw that. As I sent my villager in, and the town centre started attacking his bears, and obviously he wanted to get them out of there because the town centre would have killed them quite quickly. And now I've got my dock up, I'm starting to get out my fishing boats, and I first went for food, and the reason I went for food is because I was obviously aiming to build some military units to protect my base, because I knew that he had the advantage at the moment because I still hadn't aged up. He was ahead of me. I'm sure collecting that 90 food treasure he did at the beginning of the game helped him age up quicker than me. And I was a little bit, he could send a military any moment into my base. I wasn't quite sure of his resource status, or his eco status, or status, whatever you want to call it. But I was still ahead in points. As you can see here, I'm a full 8 points ahead. I do apologise for this lag. I will have to look into that. I'm not quite sure what that is. But I was a full 50 now, and he's at 42, and that basically shows the points reflect the economy and such. So I knew I was better off at the moment, despite the fact that I hadn't aged up yet. So I was hoping that his economy was a little bit less, and he wasn't able to build a lot of military, or at least not a big enough military to warrant attacking me. Now his black bears were attacking my villagers there, trying to make me obviously a bit nervous and send them away to stop me aging up. But even if I had sent them away, the wonder would have aged up on its own, and boom, I got my aggro fort. Now, I wasn't quite sure how much time I had, but I wanted to protect my aggro fort because this was a very key building for me in this game, because it was going to supply me with my biggest army that I was going to build, or contingent, whatever you'd like to call it. So I put a little wall around it to make it a proper fort. You know, I felt like I had to do that, sort of christen it, but it was also to protect it, make him waste time burning down walls so that I could get more military out in case he did attack it. Meanwhile, I've got my villagers just on gold, food and wood, but the fishing boats are doing most of the work for me at the moment. I don't have a lot of villagers on food, and I decided I was going to switch to gold as well, because obviously my infantry costed gold, and I was going to go for infantry and sepoys to be precise, which are basically like musketeers. I don't usually go for skirmishers right off the bat, and I usually don't build them when I do these type of matches, and the reason for that is because they cost a lot more gold, and the sepoys don't. And the sepoys usually do a good job as it is. I much prefer to use the skirmishers in treaty mode. I noticed he was building a barracks there, and of course my sepoys weren't building quick enough, and I thought, okay, I'll send my explorers in to kill the villager that was building it. Sadly, they didn't get there in time, and the villager managed to build the barracks, so I pulled back my men, because the barracks for the Sioux basically shoot arrows at you. They're like blockhouses, and I thought I didn't want to lose any units to them. I can use them elsewhere. And now I'm just collecting resources currently, letting the fishing boats do their job, and I do believe eventually I shall be upgrading the dock fairly soon, because at this point in time I'm getting most of my food, and eventually I'll be getting most of my gold from fishing, so I definitely want to get those upgrades out there. Luckily enough I had a market, but I hadn't upgraded the gold collecting there, which is a bit of a bugger. I should have really done that earlier on, but I completely forgot to do that. And here he was trying to build another barracks, so I was like, okay, I need to stop them from building that second one. He'll have a bit of an advantage over me, because he'll have two barracks. He could build two groups of units at a time, and I can only build one from the aggro fort. I managed to stop them, but I do believe he sends the villager back in anyway, and I wasn't quick enough to react, and he managed to get it finished. It was almost nearly built anyway, so I pulled the guys back, but sadly he took quite a bit of damage, that infantry there, and he's quite on low health. And then I don't know why he did it, but he sent his explorer to attack my explorers. I was getting a trade route up, and I needed the trade routes up because I wanted to get more cards, and I had enough wood, so I took the advantage. That's one of the great things about India. I'm constantly as India collecting wood because I need it to build more villages, and the bonus is that I'll have enough wood to build trading posts and walls and extra buildings and such. And then he started building archers, but of course my aggro fort with its much longer range than his blockhouses, sort of sent them off and sort of made him scurry away. And I was going for eco cards at the moment, just needed to get more wood, because obviously I was aiming to build more fishing boats, and this is where I start kicking them in for the gold. I was letting my fishing boat, the other 4 collect fish, because I still needed the food. And I do believe at this point I was thinking, okay, I'll age up and then I'll attack him. But then it came upon me that he sort of being quiet at this moment in time. Still didn't have a lot of points compared to me. I'm almost a full 20 ahead of him at the moment. But he wasn't attacking or anything. I'm not quite sure how many units he had at this point in the game, and I was a bit worried that he might go and age up. So I was thinking, okay, I've got to start pumping out the military units soon, because if he ages up, then he'll be able to upgrade his military units and he'll have an advantage over me. So I started building extra houses to increase my pop, and I do believe in a couple of seconds I shall build a stable. But if you notice there, starting to gather a little group of sepoys. And yeah, I've run out of commentary. But I will be doing more of these matches. I very much enjoy doing it, and it'll be a mix of supremacy and treaty matches, because they're both a lot of fun. What I love about India is the elephants, but sadly it's not usually. I can't see the elephants being used all that often in a supremacy game, because they're usually over quite quickly. But sometimes they do go on for quite a while. Sometimes you do age up to like age 3 and 4, the Imperial Age, and then the Imperial Age. But I've never actually done a supremacy match where I've actually aged up to the Imperial Age before. But the elephants are very strong, but they cost a lot of resources, so I'm not quite sure if I'd ever see myself playing them in a supremacy game. So I usually stick to infantry and camels. And as you can see, I'm just building a little bit of an army up here, more for protection than attacking, because at this point I was a little bit like, has he got an army? So I set my explorers off to search his base, search for any more forward bases he might have craftily hidden, and also to check out his villager status. All the meanwhile, obviously collecting resources and building up that small group of sepoys for defence. At this point I was building more fishing boats, more for food, because I was low on food and gold. Well, luckily sepoys don't cost a lot of gold, only 30 gold coin, so I didn't have to worry too much about gold, as it were, but food I definitely did, because sepoys cost much more food than they do gold. And I didn't see anything in his base, I didn't really come across anything, so I sent my explorers down to check how big of an army he had. I was a little bit worried that his army could be quite big. He wasn't aging up, so he could have had a big army. And this is the point where I was like, I'm going to build the stables now. And my reason for doing this is I was going to have my infantry be the distraction, and I was going to play a distraction game, basically. I was going to, I can't think of what the word is, but I was going to put on a performance. Misdirection. I was going to use the element of misdirection, and I was going to use my infantry as the misdirection to sort of draw him away from his base. Meanwhile, I was going to send in camels to attack his villagers, attack his eco, and of course, in this type of game, if you lose all your villagers, you're kind of screwed, and there's not usually a way to come back, especially if you haven't got a teammate. If it's one-on-one, you are kind of screwed if you lose all of your villagers, which is something we'll see soon. And I've just realised that I didn't build a stables. I actually built a consulate. A consulate is basically a building that allows you to ally yourself with other civilizations to get troops and upgrades from them. And I allied myself with the British, and the reason I did that is because my infantry get a 10% plus hit points. So that means I have extra hit points, which I needed. I have the advantage over him. Not only that, but the Sioux, the archers that he actually chose to use, are a lot weaker. They only have 90 hit points, whereas my sepoys have a lot more. And then I decided to go and get myself some musketeers, because I only had a limited amount of export. Of course, this early in the game, I wouldn't expect myself to have a lot of export anyway. And I got myself 8 musketeers, redcoats nonetheless, not imperial, but redcoats nonetheless, very strong musketeers, and they added to my sepoy grouping, or my sepoy contingent, whatever you like to call it. And now I was just pumping out houses, because I know that the camels I'm going for are the ones that are good against skirmishers, artillery, and archers. Now, I probably could have used these against his archers, and they would have dominated them. However, that wasn't my plan, of course. I wanted to use my infantry as a distraction, and then suddenly he started attacking my trade post, which is kind of the mistake he made for me in this match. This is the big mistake that he made, because he basically gave me reason to attack him. And not only that, but at first I was thinking, okay, is he trying to distract me now? And I was expecting a big army to become marching down past my aggro fort and into my base. But no, this was his main army, and this was his mistake, because he revealed his forward base to me. I did not know that this was here. But soon after attacking the soldiers that were trying to burn down my trade post, I found his little forward base. I noticed the corral. I was like, okay, started to build a forward base. And as you can see here, my sepoys making short work of his archers, much higher hit points, as you can see, 209 to 90, and a lot stronger attack, much better ranged attack, and obviously I have a lot more of them. So they were making short work of his sepoys, of his archers, and I wasn't all that bothered about his blockhouse attacking my men at this point. It wasn't really bothering me. And as you can see, I was waiting for my camels to train up, because they were taking quite a while, and instead of actually going for cavalry train faster card, I went for the card that increases the damage of my camels. And the reason I went for that is because I wanted to kill his villagers as quick as possible. I didn't really care about their training time, because I almost had all 15 camels that I was going to build. It seemed to me at this point that this was the only base, this was the only army that he had. He didn't seem to be sending any other units to attack me, but obviously we'll shortly find out that he was actually massing, but he didn't use them, which was very odd. But now I have all of my camels. I was sending them, getting them ready to send them across the coastline and send them straight up into his base, sort of sneaky like. And I got another camel card, which basically increases all actions damage by 15%, so making them stronger. And even if he had, what we'll see in a little bit, I won't talk about it too much, but even if he had sent this mass army in, my camels probably would have made short work of them, because they were now not upgraded from the stables, but they had 2 cards that made them a lot stronger, and they're also very good against archers, so I don't believe his archers would have had much of a chance against all 15 of my camels. I could be wrong, but since they're good against archers, I don't think they would have had much of a chance. And as you can see, they had his little contingent of archers. I knew that they might come and attack me, so I instantly just sent my camels in to attack his villagers, because by this point he would have seen them. I found all of his villagers, and I went on a killing spree, and it was shortly after doing this he realised that the jig was up. He probably wasn't going to make it back from this, obviously. I was attacking his main eco there, and he finished the game. I said GG, which I do at the end of every game, but not a lot of people seem to be sending it back. It's just a courtesy thing, it's not rubbing it in his face. As you can see, he had about a contingency of about 30 archers, but I think my camels would have made short work of them. I noticed he didn't build any fishing boats, which I believe is where I gained the advantage over him, because I was collecting resources from the sea and he wasn't, so I had an advantage over him there. I'm not quite sure why he didn't build any fishing boats. Some players don't, but luckily as India I had the advantage with the wood situation, so I was able to build villages. The consulate didn't really come in handy as such. The musketeers might have helped a little bit, but I think I wasted that card. And as you can see here, we basically got half and half. I got most resources, most improvements, most units killed, and highest score. He got most treasures, most units lost, most military units, and least resources. He beat me on wooden coin, but I beat him on food there. I'm quite surprised how little coin I actually had, but it doesn't really matter all that much because my sepoys were so cheap that it didn't really matter too much to me. Although the camels cost 90 food and 90 coin each. As you can see, he spent more on units there, but he was losing them quicker than me. As you can see, I had a much smaller army and I killed a lot more. I'm not quite sure why it said I lost 6 buildings, because I clearly didn't. But it might have been because I deleted a house earlier on, I think that was why. But if you look at the ratio there, I did much better with my army, much more effective army there than his were. And I believe if he had chosen cavalry, he might have defeated me. And then we have the experience here, and then the timeline. And we're quite similar. He's a little bit lower than me. There's a point where he kind of matches up with me, and then I believe when he attacked me, this is when he started to drop down before, obviously, his untimely death. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this this first Age of Empires 3 online match, and I'll be uploading more. Look forward to them. I really enjoy talking about the strategies and such of the game. But until then, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you look forward to the next video, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Have a great week and a great weekend, depending on whenever you watch this. And until next time, take care, and I'll